there was a little sliver of doubt among the masses when it came to this one. After you slaughter box office records with one of the riskiest ventures in cinema, how do you go back to just doing solo outings for each character and still maintain the momentum? Many angry things have been said about Iron Man 3, and a lot of it pretty embarrassing. And one of the many things that plagued Marvel Studios really started coming to a head during Phase 2, and I'll get into that with later retrospects. So let's focus on the good stuff, because where this movie is concerned, not enough has been said about that. The first major thing to point out is that of the 3 Iron Man films, this one has the best action sequences, no contest. The final showdown at the docks has an incredible variety about it. Tony can take a lot of licks in the suit, but the coolest thing about this sequence, and the movie as a whole, is that there's a lot of times where Tony isn't in the suit and has to think on his feet in order to persevere. The movie's action is remarkably well balanced in that regard, though a special shout out has to go to the aerial rescue sequence where Tony has to save 13 people from falling to their doom. While there are green screen shots in the scene, the majority of the shots were done practically and with highly trained skydivers. When you take into account how many times you need to jump, land, get in a plane, go back up, and jump again in order to get a shot, it's an arduous, time-consuming process, and it can't be denied, the finished product is breathtaking. While this film does rely on improvisation when it comes to the character interaction, it's only a partial contribution when compared to Jon Favreau's efforts. This one, however, has the added bonus of being penned by Shane Black, the master of the Christmas buddy action movie. For anyone who saw Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, you know that Robert Downey Jr. in a Shane Black movie is always a win, and by God did Black really bring out the fun whenever he could. Whether it be because of the witty banter or the delirious cliche skewing in a lot of the action sequences.
Honestly, I hate working here. They are so weird.
Black injected a real freshness that the more savvy filmgoers would want in their action movies. And as for the buddy dynamics, all of the scenes between Rhodey and Tony, well, they're better than they've ever been up to this point. But the real star pairing in this movie was between Tony and Harley, played by Ty Simpkins. One thing Black has always excelled at is avoiding the trope of making kids irritating and devoid of any kind of personality. For further proof, watch The Nice Guys. Definitely watch The Nice Guys. I mean, seriously, that movie is underrated as hell. Now, here, we have a kid who you could probably imagine Tony would have been like had he been more humble in his beginnings. The kid is curious, he's enthusiastic, but he has a bit of a mischievous streak in him, and Tony talks to him less like a father figure and more like a put-upon partner. Because really, that's what this dynamic is. Tony would prefer to work alone in this situation, but seeing as Jarvis is online and the suit is defunct, he's gonna have to settle on the wide-eyed kid. This winds up being Tony's saving grace, as in the beginning of the film, Tony is suffering from serious self-doubt regarding his efficacy as Iron Man. An argument could be made that were it not for his suits, Tony probably would not have fared as well in the Battle of New York. He may not have even survived when he entered the wormhole. It also doesn't help that when he was in there, he saw the full scale of what the Chitauri were capable of, and he's terrified that when, not if, when, they try to take the Earth again, the suit is all he's got to fight with. In Iron Man 3, being forced as he was to get the job done without the suit forced him to remember that the suits are just another tool in his workshop. All of it starts with him and his own considerable intellect. Tony had been treating the suit like a security blanket, and Harley reminded him that he created the suit, and if he can build that, he can build anything. When he breaks into Killian's stronghold, he does so through sheer resourcefulness. And when you think about it, even though he had the added support of an entire army of suits, the extremist soldiers were tearing through them like a blowtorch through butter. At the beginning of the movie, Tony was thoroughly dependent on them. If he had remained as such, he probably would have been ripped apart. But now that Tony was able to function without them, he was able to maneuver in and out of the suits, making him a much more difficult target for his enemies. Ultimately, he was able to win out because he learned that the suit definitely does not make the man. A lesson that he would later impart to more impressionable youths in the times to come. Okay, I know you're waiting on me to address the popular gripe that everyone has against this movie, and frankly, you're going to be disappointed. I freaking love Trevor Slattery. I'm sorry, wait, no, I'm not, but I thought the twist was hilarious, ballsy, and played perfectly into Killian's scheme to use the politics of fear as a red herring. I know people wanted to see Iron Man duke it out with his number one enemy, and I can understand why they feel cheated, but let's be honest here. Given the ethnically stereotypical presentation to which the character is known, not to mention his utterly ridiculous backstory, do you really think abiding by the comics in this regard was really a smart move? I'd say the real sadness of it all is that even though the short All Hail the King did an effective job reinforcing the idea that the real Mandarin is still out there, the odds of a legitimate follow-up to that revelation is probably not gonna happen. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., maybe? In any case, I will happily go to bat for Iron Man 3. For me, it's probably the most entertaining and most fun of Iron Man's solo outings, and for an extra bonus, makes for a great Christmas movie. But then again, what Shane Black movie isn't? I mean, I suppose The Nice Guys. I mean, all that had was a Christmas tree in the background at the end of the movie. Not really worth the effort when you think about it. Are you still here? Go watch The Nice Guys!